Great stuff. So like I said, we can edit out anything we really screw up, but it's not like formal, so I don't want us to feel too worried. All right.
Cool.
Good day, everybody. Gérard for Zulu Alpha Firearms channel, and I am here today with Alex Mathey. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So I thought we'd do a bit of a co-presenter thing today, because I think it's a bit more interesting. You have someone who probably knows a lot more about guns than I do, which is always helpful, so I don't have to take all the responsibility for any wrong information myself. And obviously, I mean, the issue that we're going to be talking about today, I had discussed with you. So I thought from you having the same problem that I had, it would be nice to hear about someone else and how they resolved that particular problem, which is a bit different to the way I was told. So firstly, though, but we are here at Cerberus Tactical Outfitters. Do you want to just tell us what you guys actually do?
We specialize in importing, selling good quality tactical gear, equipment for the South African sports shooter, tactical security prepper market, because all the cool stuff you don't get in the country anymore, so we bring in good stuff. We do a bit of airsoft, with some real mags and some knives and all kind of cool stuff. Yeah.
So you're not selling actual firearms, but more the accessories and the airsoft type of stuff.
That's a slow process, but it's happening. So.
But an interesting thing, behind us, I know when you sent me a WhatsApp earlier about the background, behind us actually is a lot of airsoft stuff, but five genuine firearms, and he asked me earlier if I could pick them out, and I couldn't. I got them all wrong. Every single one I got wrong. So it's just amazing how realistic a lot of the airsoft stuff is, and maybe later on you can, viewers, you can watch and you can see if you can figure it out, but you can point it out. As long as you don't forget before the end of the show, you can point out which are actually the real airsoft guns. I was totally surprised by what I got all wrong. And of course, how did you get into firearms? What is your sort of history?
I've always been interested in it. But I started basically airsoft. It's a ground roots firearm sport basically, where most airsoft players start from 10, 12 up. We used to play BB gun wars in the back of the garden, and that got me interested in specific models of firearms, and as age and time progresses, you buy a handgun and you start sport shooting, and it grows into a passion.
So what, in the terms of sports, what's the sort of main stuff you like to participate in for sport shooting?
When we still did sport shooting, we did IDPA, high-powered rifle, that kind of disciplines we used to shoot with.
Okay. Yeah. And you're a collector. I'm not going to ask what you own. That's always a sensitive issue, but you are also a firearms collector.
Yeah, collector and dedicated sports shooter as well.
Great. So you married a passion with your occupation, so to speak. Yeah. Fantastic.
With that, you work in retail, so you don't get to shoot as much as you like to, but it comes with the territory.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Great. So today's episode, it's not really, as people have watched before, we've done the 2-mag reviews, which I think have been quite popular, actually. I was quite surprised. I didn't see the point of doing a 2-mag review on a Norinco Type 56 because, I mean, those have been around since 1956. It's an AK, it's nothing fancy about it. And there are probably like 1 million reviews more competently done than I could ever do. And to see me shooting out 2 magazines with the AK, I don't think. So I want to discuss it sort of, but kind of go into, like I said, the problem, and what hinges around the issue of, do you have to clean an AK? Because there's a lot of this myth that you don't, and that there are a lot of factors that would influence actually how true that myth is or not. But just to tell you about it, the Type 56 is the Norinco Type 56, Chinese made, first made in 1956, hence the name. I think it was the most used one in Vietnam. The North Vietnamese were apparently mainly using the Type 56, but obviously like a military version of the firearm. But this one, which is quite freely available in South Africa, it is cleared. I do have a chamber flag in it, so we know we're not going to be doing any damage to anybody. Is probably the most common one that you can get here in South Africa. A lot of shops have it. Yes, you get fancier ones, and I mean AKs, it's a whole, I mean, you can spend years talking about the different types of AKs, who makes them. But this is probably the most frequent one you're going to be able to buy in South Africa in most shops. So Norinco, it's quite an interesting company. I was doing some Google searching. I mean, they make anything from heavy duty equipment, chemicals, optoelectric information technology. No, I can idea what that is. defense stuff, armored vehicles, missiles, mobile rocket launchers, 2 binoculars. My dad actually, when he lived in China, bought a pair. He lent them to me the other day when I went to the Kruger Park and actually saw they were Norinco binoculars. They have a really shitty website, so go look at it. It's really bad. I was quite surprised. And yeah, so that's what they do. They do a wide range of things. But like I said, we'll get into why it's perhaps popular in South Africa in a moment. But the big question is, and people often ask you, can you own, or I've seen people say, you cannot own an AK in South Africa. And the simple answer to that is,
yes, within the confines of the law, it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend security companies running around them. I think people still have the stigma of an AK is a bad person's gun. So if you see a security guard with one, you probably would assume he's doing. I would probably assume he's doing something illegal that he shouldn't be doing, and he's not a security guard. So yes, so the short answer is yes. Probably the easiest way is as a dedicated sports, Section 16 in South African firearms terminology, or collector. Section 17, if you had a theme, that would include an AK. I mean, obviously themes, you can make up almost any theme you want. So that's the easiest route. We're not going to really spend a lot of time talking about how that works, but that is probably the way that most people own an AK is sports shooter option. As I said, the collector is a bit more of a difficult, longer process, whereas sports shooter you can probably get in a couple of months. That status, which would then allow you to be in a position to apply for something like this. So this particular one is owned under a sports license. I think you were talking about some of the ones you own are sports. So that's a great way to do it. A fully auto version is possible in South Africa if you were a level category A collector, which would take years, firstly, and it's probably quite expensive. So that is a way you can actually, even in South Africa, own a fully auto, actually any gun, if it fitted your theme. Yeah. So that's quite an interesting thing.
Pretty rare.
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys who are A categories is it's like a handful in the country, and it's just, I think, a very expensive way. But those are guys that typically have the ability to buy very expensive toys. Yeah. So that's just in terms of the licensing. Yes, it's possible. Section 16, Section 17. And yeah, but my own journey to this AK is actually a bit of a story which I wanted to include in this particular discussion. So it took me 4 years to get this. I think it was 2018. I applied for it under Section 16, and it came back rejected, saying I didn't express the need for the firearm. Okay. Which, if you go into the technicalities, Section 16, you don't have to express the need. The word Section 13 speaks of you have to write the need, because Section 16 is a sports gun. That's the need. But I had a detailed motivation, 15 pages, wasn't the first sports firearm I'd ever applied for, and I did have some assistance. And as I said, I was quite surprised when they said didn't express the need. So then we appealed it, which is kind of the best way to go. A lot of people say just reapply. And I went the appeal route, and the appeal board came back saying they don't like my dedicated sports shooter letter. Which, as you know, if you appeal something, you can't, the person you're appealing to can't come back with a second reason. It's not another bite of the cherry to give you a different reason to reject your license. And that, of course, procedurally is wrong, and then decided to go on to judicial review. I'm a GOSA member, and a Diamond member. They actually help you with this. So I must say thanks a lot to GOSA, and I didn't in the end pay for any of this. And we went on judicial review, but of course COVID kicked in 2020, which delayed everything. And long story short, 2021, towards the end, the hearing was held, and the judge rejected that issue of you didn't express the need, and they rejected the issue of we don't like your sports letter, which was absolute nonsense, and said they've got 40 days to review it, re-review it. Now, of course, to come up with a third reason after all of this would look just malicious. So it did come back approved, and then they had 40 days to give a final answer, which of course, being police, they missed 40 days. And my lawyer then contacted them again, and then it was approved, and they were supposed to issue the card in 14 days, which of course they didn't do that. So my lawyer again contacted them, and then I think it was in January of this year, finally approved. So really a long, unnecessary process. I am now part of case law, so you can go look at Labuschagne versus the appeal board, I think it is, or the Central Firearms Registry. So I always wanted to be a case law, and thankfully it's not for me getting arrested for something. So that is nice that it's also there for other people to make use if they had that same schlep. So that's kind of the history of this. And again, thanks to GOSA, as I said, that didn't cost me a cent.
GOSA does good work. I'm also a member.
And so it's worth it, especially the Diamond members, which is and it's not expensive. I think it's $1,500 a year. and just various discounts, but they help you with it. Obviously, if you have a pointless, useless case, they're not going to help you. They take winnable cases, and Larry Marks was appointed, and he does a lot of firearms law. So I just want to give that shout out because I think that's great. So, of course, why would you want to own one of these?
Because they're awesome.
They are. I think that's first on my list. You know, it's as I said, it's a classic gun. Historically, fits into so many parts of the world.
Look, and in South Africa, if you're looking at sports shooting and you want a self-loading rifle, these are probably the most cost-effective to run. With the price of 223 ammo, it's quite rough these days, as we should know.
Yeah.
I think just out of economic standpoint, it's quite
a worthwhile.
A good choice to run 760 by 39.
Because these, I saw the other day, are going for about 9,500 roughly in South Africa. That's, for those of you overseas, that's about $630. And compared to like a Smith & Wesson M&P 15, I checked the other day, is average is 20,000.
Yeah, double the price.
So it's more than double. They do exactly the same thing. Now, and I granted, I mean, I don't think you're going to do competitive sports. You're not going to be the national champion shooting an AK. I don't think there might be some extremists who do that, but most people are using the AR platform. So I like to say, and this is why I do it, it's fun sports, because I enjoy shooting. I enjoy the tactical side of practical shooting.
I think it's a bit more challenging running a 3-gun or something with an AK.
Which is what I'm pretty much using this for now.
It's different. It's not as ergonomic and as tactical as the ARs, so you kind of need to apply yourself to run quick with it.
And that's fun. I mean, the 3-gun itself is just great. We did a video about that previously, and it's a fantastic way to enjoy your firearms. So definitely from a sports point of view, it's cheap. Like you said, the ammo, I mean, what are you paying for? I saw Bernal, the Russian steel case stuff going, and it was an $8.50 around someone the other day.
$9 around,
and that again is not reloadable, and your sort of more decent reloadable stuff, you're talking 10, 12, easy.
15 some places.
And I mean, obviously we're doing this, what's it now? It's the 9th of June, 2022. So obviously when you watch this, the prices might differ. So from an ammo point of view, the past 2 years, I've been buying ammo, obviously not taking possession to the license. Anything from R4 around, which is brilliant, even when I bought it, to now I bought about a month or two ago for R6.50. So as you say, it's almost half the price of 223 ammo. Right. Yes, it is cheap, military grade Chinese Russian ammo, but you know, what else would you shoot from to do something like this?
It feels wrong shooting a hand loaded
exactly
Lapua case out of an AK. It's
you know, and of course coming back to the issue of today, and they take any abuse and you don't have to clean them and look after them. But we're going to get into that a bit in a moment. So I think it's great for what it is. It's cheaper than a Glock Gen 4, you know, that you're buying.
Less plastic,
and of course it's just classic looks. You know, you got the guys now, they're selling the underfolders and the side folders. So I think if you're going to do sports shooting, probably a fixed stock is better.
I think out of my experience, we sell Magpul and some other AK accessories. It's easier to upgrade a full stock AK because of the rear tang. If you have a side folder, underfolder, you're married to that.
Yeah.
There's no easy way to put other stocks on them.
Okay.
Where with the fixed stock, you can put something like Magpul. There's a variety of brands that offer furniture options, folding, like the Magpul stocks folds inwards to the charging handle side, so a bit more versatile than the folders.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I like the classic look. That's why I went for this option as opposed to any of the other ones. So when I went to go shoot it the first time at the store, of course, a millennial behind the counter says, "Oh, you're going to pull off all this wood and put plastic." And I thought, "Oh, it's sacrilege, you moron. You're going to get an AR. That's what ARs are designed for." But yeah, I mean, a lot of people like to do that. And that's, I mean, it's personal choice.
Look, the accessories are there, and you can, for yours, you can do what you want.
Yeah. So quickly, I wanted to also talk about the magazines, because for me, the Bakelite, which apparently it's not actually Bakelite, it's AG4S. Some compound,
phenolic resin,
which looks very much like Bakelite, but the name Bakelite is stuck, and I'm not even going to try ever get people to change that view.
No, it's so.
And I know you were selling some of these, or you still have a few in stock, maybe. They're going for about
$800 for brand new unissued Bakelites.
Yeah, so I mean, but they stopped making them years ago, but you can still get new ones that were never issued. And I mean, if you look at in Ukraine now, like every second guy's got Bakelite. So clearly they have a long
big supply of them.
Shelf life, and I just think they complete the look firstly, and I just like them more than the metal ones. My metal ones that I got with the gun actually really struggle to get them in, which might just be time, etc. So these just, I mean, they're just
they clip in nice and smooth,
and it just looks like it should have a Bakelite in it. So that's But now the reason why we're here.
Yeah.
So I got this in January. I went to the range, shot out 30 rounds because I was just excited to get the gun. I then did a
3-gun
with it, and I mean there I shot about 60 rounds because it's obviously using spread it out amongst two different different guns. And then I did a rifle league because I was really excited and shot maybe 200. So about 300 rounds I put through it. I then put it in the safe, and for a month I didn't touch it. And just to point out, it actually shoots not as people always say ACOs are not accurate. At the rifle league, where they have pretty much some long distance shots, I was actually hitting a couple of those gongs, which I would say were about 100 meters.
Yeah, I love telling people that say the AK is inaccurate. It's usually because of the guerrilla forces or the untrained armies kind of using them. So it's a training thing mostly. As a weapon platform, it's pretty accurate. You're not going to shoot some MOAs like some ARs and stuff, but it's not designed for that. It's meant to survive in Africa, and that it does it pretty well.
So that's one thing. And I haven't touched the sights. They came like this. I didn't adjust them, and I was quite chuffed. A lot of them you might not have that accuracy, but anyway. So I put it aside after those 3 chances of using it, and then I went to go do a 3-gun, and I wanted to obviously put my chamber flag in before I take it to the range. And I couldn't cock it. And then I thought, okay, is a safety on? But even then, you normally would be able to pull the charging handle back a bit, and it wouldn't freaking move. Yeah. And I thought, oh my God, I've spent 4 years waiting for this. Shot it 3 times. The damn thing's broken. They're not supposed to break their AKs. And I was literally, I swear, I was literally almost in tears. So I found a buddy of mine, Henny, and through this sort of cry, he said, don't worry. He's had the same problem, and he said it's pretty much the ammo. And he then said, obviously I could take it apart. I just could literally not cock it. And took it apart, and I'm going to insert some pictures. And he said essentially the ammo he just said the ammo is quite corrosive. And with these types of guns, it's not the military spec stuff that has fancy barrels, etc. Essentially, it's corrosive, and it causes literally the gas piston to get stuck, I think pretty much here towards the front.
Yeah, that's just raw steel inside there. And I think it just got stuck with a bit of rust.
So I took it apart, and as I said, I'll put some pictures in. It was the gas piston was black, but you could literally see around those rings at the end the copper color, rusty color. And these little ports here, the little ones, again, I'll probably put a picture, you could literally see it coming through there. And he just said, look, you've got to clean the shit out of it. So I was spraying this, 3 Trisol, as I say, things that do 3-in-1 probably aren't doing any of them great. I spray the living daylights out of that. Of course, it makes a huge mess because it will run down here out the front of your barrel. Just keep that in mind. And I spent Q40, Q20, whatever it was, and steel brush, and just had a go at it. And it worked fine. And I haven't had any issues since. Did what you said, cleaned it, took it apart, gas tube off, etc. Works. You've got a bit of a different kind of solution that you suggested, which another buddy of mine overseas also suggested.
Yeah, it's quite well known. The primers are actually the corrosive bit in the ammo. It's something, sorry, I need to Google that. I remembered, but I forget. The primers are made out of potassium chloride. It was common to World War II era ammunition used potassium chloride in the primers, and was very corrosive, and a lot of older ammo in circulation, especially milsips, still have it, and that's, we'll show you now what to look out for. But it's basically salts, and the way I do it, take the rifle apart, furniture off.
So you take off the wood,
gas tube off,
everything.
And I boil a kettle of water and I just pour it down the barrel, into the zinc. Pour some into the gas, and the gas blocks it, rinses a little hole there. By using boiling water, you dissolve the salts firstly, and it's so hot, whatever moisture's on it flashes off. So, and then after that,
you do a normal cleaning.
Oil it, clean it, and I do that religiously. Even if I'm not doing a thorough clean, I'll get home, boiling water, sort that out. It takes 5 minutes. It's quick and easy, and it prevents a lot of pitting and rust in the future. So I boiling water, oil it, put it away, and then when you proper clean it, you do the same thing, clean it. But after every shoot, it's part of my habits, all my Soviet Russian guns, shooting any milsurpy ammo, put water down the barrel.
Yeah.
Just dissolve those salts, because they become little orange oxidizing monsters.
Exactly what was happening with mine.
Yeah.
So of course you could say, well, can you go in after every shoot?
Which,
yes, you can. Does everybody? Do I? No. But I think, as you say, because of the salt specifically, you want to do it's a good idea, the boiling water.
maybe a pro tip for you guys that have AKs or Type 56s at ranges. You shoot them while you're waiting for the license. Check that out.
Yeah.
Maybe you take a ball brush now and ball snake, just clean it now and again. Because you might take a year for you to get your license.
4 years?
In a year, a lot of rust or corrosion can happen in the barrels. The military type AKs, Hungarian, Polish, Russian, all the Mulsip AKs are usually chrome lined. Bores, chambers, bolts, bolt carriers for that specific reason. Because they use corrosive ammo. So they chrome those parts to avoid rusting. But even on my genuine Russian guns with that, the gas tube itself, it's not chrome lined, so it still gets rust in there. Same thing, water, dissolve it, oil in there to make it.
So I guess I'm just lucky that where I bought this, there wasn't a range. So I mean, I would have unknowingly used that ammo, and I've got enough of it that I would have used that, and that would have been quite a problem. Imagine coming after a year or so and.
Yeah, I've even had it in my 1911. I got some affordable steel case ammo circa World War II, 1943, like cheap. Shot it a few times, and also later realized, oh my, it's corrosive, with a bit of a fright, but yeah.
And the question is, how do you know? I mean, I doubt it says it's all Chinese on the side of these wooden boxes, those crates with the two tins inside. Yeah. And I mean, I've had people who've said, I mean, I'm shooting, like I said, that, and it has this very brown kind of case. So again, I'll plonk in a picture. And then people say, oh, that's the one. And then you the other day said, no, the ones that like the bullet and the case is the same coppery color. You said, but no, that's the one. And I guess, I suppose it could be either or, depending on when it was made, who was making it, or maybe they're all actually corrosive. But a guy who shoots it at a gun, like the range gun that is probably just working so much that it, I don't know, maybe, I always say that the guy who has to clean that's probably the guy who did something wrong with the shot that day, once a year, and has to clean the damn thing. But maybe because it's been shot the whole time, it doesn't have that time to get stuck. Yeah. Not doing good to the step barrel, but it probably just continues to work. So I don't really know if there's a way you could really tell.
You could tell by picking up a fired case.
Yeah.
So that's the one way, but prior to shooting around, don't know.
So treat it as corrosive, unless you're buying, sort of this fancy ammo, which, like I said, who the hell shoots fancy ammo? Unless you've got a historical AK that in your collection, you want to make sure you're going to use top-notch stuff, just because that's it's a different story.
People shooting, as myself, World War II surplus ammo. There's a lot of Mauser ammo, 303 ammo that's dated in the 40s, and all of the ammo in those eras were considered to have corrosive primers. Okay. So it's something to take knowledge of. Modern primers are usually not, but usually when it's dated small SERP, you can assume it might be corrosive.
And I mean, to pour the water down the barrel, and you're not doing anything any time-wise more consuming than you would do when you're cleaning it, correct, giving it a pretty decent clean anyway. So it's not as if this is going to take you 5 hours to do. I'm definitely, can't say after every time, maybe after a big shoot, but yeah, I'll see. As I said, I don't want to make promises. I know I'm not that good at keeping my promises, and I don't often clean my guns.
You just make sure the missus is not around, or she's okay with you using the kitchen sink.
Yeah. Or do it. I did mine outside just to be safe. But yeah, and then again, just remember the gas port leaks down at the barrel, so whatever you're squirting, check if you. But yeah, I mean, I think that's just one of the things I wanted to point out. And as I said, I got a buddy in the States, old Barry, who I was chatting about this too, and he said the same thing. Oh yeah, that happens, and pour soapy boiling water down it. He suggested. So again, it's a first time. Until this happened to me, I'd never heard of this issue. And just had this mindset that you don't have to clean an AK, they just work and they just carry on. Yes and no.
Look, it's like Toyota Hilux. People believe, no, this will run forever, but with any machine, maintenance is an important part.
Yeah. And because we love them, and because there are things that we might need to protect ourselves in a very bad scenario, hopefully not ever. And yeah, it's worth a little bit of effort. You're really going to appreciate it that day when you have to grab this for a different purpose than just
And it's not stuck.
Not stuck, because it's really, really not a nice thing to experience.
Yeah, but my little pro tip, if I can, if it's a steel case, can I grab those?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Cases. Steel cases come in a variety of colors. You get lacquered cases. We'll put some pics up. This is a raw steel case. We just lacquered.
I think Bernal's that I once bought had were like that.
Polish Ammo has it. There's different countries approach us different ways, and then the most common ones are auto paint, like the brown. When you show that should be lacquered or painted as well.
Right.
That's just to prevent the case corroding and rusting, not to be able to fit into the chamber. And then these look like brass or copper, but they're actually steel cases that are copper washed.
Okay.
So they just get washed to make them a bit more corrosive resistant. So generally, if something's a steel case, and you can test that with any magnet, if it's a steel case, I would take caution, treat it as corrosive.
Yeah.
You lose nothing by adding that bit of effort. Yeah.
And obviously, to state the obvious, almost all these steel cases are not reloadable. I mean, militia's not worried about picking up brass on the battlefield for reloading. So that's just to keep in mind. If you buy some, you just know it's not reloadable. But at that price, who cares?
They're also burden primed.
You know.
Yeah, no, it's affordable enough to not really worry about it.
I think that's kind of all the stuff I wanted to cover with today's talk. Of course, we did mention the guns at the back. Some of them are real. Do you want to take them down? Because I don't know if all of them would be in the shot necessarily.
I'm not going to show all of them. I'll just show one or two.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
This is the Russian version. That's the Russian version of that's also stamped steel AK, which is called an AKM. If it had a mold receiver, it would have been an AK or an AK-47. But yeah, it's the Russian equivalent of that, basically. And then
I did not guess that one, that's for sure. I was guessing the Dragunov Type 1's up there, I think. Maybe. And the bolt action, I think, is the other one that I guessed.
And then let's go with the Saiga 9.
That's a beautiful gun. I did a review on that for those that want to...
Really nice little firearm. My wife thinks it's hers, but I'll allow it. But yeah, also very nice. This is an AK 9mm. Absolutely amazing to shoot.
I think if one of my next firearms that if I can afford, obviously cost is always the issue. I'd love to. I haven't seen them for the past year or two in shops. Just before COVID, you were seeing quite a few of them going for about 20, 22.
Which is okay.
CZ Scorpions now also going for about 22. I've seen in the shops. So you perhaps the Scorpion's a bit more adaptable, and you can plonk and pull, and it's perhaps a more modern system. But that is absolutely beautiful looking, and to shoot, it's absolute dream. Again, did the review on it also. So yes, okay, thank you. We won't get into the rest that are or aren't. But Alex, thank you.
Pleasure.
I think hopefully we've given you some thoughts, something interesting, entertaining. Hopefully the sound worked, and we haven't been talking to ourselves for the past 10, 15, 20 minutes. And so thank you again, and I'm sure we'll be back here for more talks on different stuff. It's a nice venue, and of course you are a very knowledgeable guy about guns.
Especially the Russian stuff, that's my...
Too close to the heart. Fantastic. So again, Alex Mathey, Gérard for Zulu Alpha Firearms channel. And as always, be safe, be legal, and be responsible. Thanks very much.
Yes.